right, and I'm back. I think all is well. I think all should be good. You never know. Over the weekend, I went to the Grand Canyon. I got to visit over there, hang out, enjoy nature, and I learned a few things that I thought you might want to share, or that I might want to share with you guys. We'll see how it goes. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
Alright, so like I said, road trip. And as per usual, whenever I go on vacation, I'm going to break down some of the stuff for you guys. I'm going to show you some of the pictures that are in the videos that I took from the trip. Mob Nasty, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. But before I get into that, I guess I need to do a few updates here. Really quick stuff. I know the Oscars are this week. I have watched a lot of the movies. I am planning on doing a video, my prediction of which is going to be the best movie of the year. Well, not the best movie of the year, what's going to win the best picture Oscar, because we know those two are not the same thing. We'll see. I should do it maybe by Friday if I'm lucky. If not, maybe Saturday. We'll see how it goes. But I am fortunately on track. I think I will finish all the movies before the week is done. Let's see what else. Eric wants to join me in the week. He wants to do a football thing because apparently there's a buttload of stuff going on in the NFL. But we'll get into that later on. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll do it next week or whatever because our schedules don't make sense anymore. But whatever. None of that matters. Let's talk about the Grand Canyon. And before we actually get into the Grand Canyon and all that stuff, I guess I should start from the beginning. And my road trip, I mentioned it. I planned it out for a few weeks ago. And I encountered inconvenience, a problem last week. So we were planning on leaving on Friday night after work. And so on Thursday morning, I wake up and I have you could probably still hear it. I wake up and I have a sinus infection, which if you listened recently to my podcast where I explain all the stuff and do an update, it's because of my nose thing. So I get sinus infections usually, and you can probably hear it on my voice right now. It's still going. And so I woke up and I was like, fuck, this is not good. I have an infection in my nose right now, and I'm going to go somewhere that's probably going to be snowing, probably going to be super cold. Not good. So I decided to take a rest on Thursday. And I didn't even record a podcast or anything because I wanted to, make sure that things didn't get worse. But didn't work. So Friday I wake up kind of sick, but we already made up our minds. We're gonna drive all the way up to Flagstaff, which is a 7-hour drive. And the next day we're gonna wake up early and we're gonna go try to get a camping spot out over the Grand Canyon. And I guess I could. I'll show you pictures in a minute. But for those of you who don't know, you kind of need to reserve in a very, very, very. You need a lot of anticipation. Maybe even a few months back, if you want to reserve a camping spot over the Grand Canyon. Let's see, Mob Nasty here. It made me laugh how you just said nature in the beginning. Nature, not sure. I don't know. I don't even know this is how I said, but you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy you're happy. So we didn't have a reservation, and so we decided, you know what? Let's just risk it, because apparently there's a first come, first serve type of deal, and they have certain spots specifically for that. And so, all right, we'll just risk it. And so we'll drive all the way to Flagstaff, and the next day on Saturday we'll wake up super early, and we'll just get there. So the first day it's a drive. It's mostly night, but the road is very interesting, and I'm going to show you a few pictures of the road here. It's on the way back, but still, it's fun. I've never driven in that part of the country. I've never been to the Grand Canyon before, and it's actually really, really beautiful. Like, it's really weird seeing certain things for the first time and it hitting on you. Listen, I'm kind of an idiot, all right? I admit it. I'm kind of an idiot, and I know things, but I don't know. There's certain things that you don't know until you see it, and I'll give you an explanation. So, for example, like look at these. These are things that I find interesting. So just like this massive field, all the way of grass as far as the eye can see. I thought that was pretty cool. I was driving, so I couldn't really record a lot of stuff. And it's really fun how the scenery changes. It went from like plains to dunes to mountains to forests, and it kept changing a lot. And I find that very interesting. And again, look at green as far as the eye can see. We're in the middle of a mountain range, and look at that. It's just trees and trees and trees and trees and trees and trees and trees. So several times during the trip, we were in situations where, again, it was just green as far as the eye could see, right? And so, again, it's one of those things where I thought I knew, but I didn't know. And so I remember, well, years ago when I first read The Hobbit, there's a chapter in The Hobbit when they're going, I believe they're going through Mirkwood, and so they're going through this massive forest, right? And they've been going for days, and they have no idea where they are, and so they decide to send Bilbo up to the top of the tree, to the top of a large tree, and him look around and see which way that should go. And so they did. Bilbo does that. He climbs the tree. He's looking up, and he says that it's only trees as far as the eye could see. Like he's in an ocean of trees. There's nothing anywhere in any direction to help him distinguish which direction he's in or which direction to go. And it's one of those things where you're like, come on, Tolkien, you're exaggerating, right? That's just silly. That's impossible. Until you actually drive through some of these places and you're it's green and it's flat as far as the eye can see. And you're like, how do we get so many fucking, why are these people complaining about deforestation? Look at all these fucking trees several times for miles as far as the eye can see. And so it's a silly thing because, again, you know it. You know how big a forest. If I tell you it's I don't know, like 1,000 acres, whatever, you can kind of picture it in your head. But until you're there, you don't really understand the magnitude, how big it is, and how easy it is to get lost. And I'll get into getting lost in a second. And the point is, it's just something that I found amusing. And again, I'm kind of an idiot, so it's the things that I notice weird things. Okay. Anyway, so I found this cool little thing that somebody did graffiti on this, on the road, like lost on the road. I was like, that's pretty cool. And so again, stupid stuff. That's the road. So we drive all the way there, all the way to Flagstaff. It's the middle of the night. It's fucking freezing. The hotel was actually pretty nice. It's a motel, but it's one of those that from the outside it looks like you're gonna die and they're gonna steal all your organs. But on the inside it was actually pretty nice. It looked old. It looked like it had really old bones, but it fresh coat of paint on top. The heat didn't work, so they put like a little extra room heater, like space heater in there for you. The restroom, the bathrooms were just redone, so it's okay. So on the outside scary, on the inside it's like okay, fine. So Flagstaff, we were barely there. Just slept and got up as early as we could, drive off to the Grand Canyon. So we get to the Grand Canyon, and there's a guy talking to one of the rangers there, and so I wait in line way behind the guy. The guy's asking him about military stuff, and because apparently you get certain discounts if you're in the military to go to national parks and stuff like that. So he was asking a bunch of information about that. I wait behind him for like 5 minutes or whatever, and when he's done, I walk up to the ranger like, "Hi, do you have any spaces for camping?" And she's like, "We're out." And at that moment, I'm like, "Fuck." So risk reward here, not going well. Fortunately, I had read before that you can camp pretty much anywhere in a national park. It's just not recommended or safe. But I heard you could do it, so that was kind of like our plan B if we couldn't find anywhere else. And all of a sudden, as I'm pondering that my next question, like where I'm thinking like, can we reserve for tomorrow? Can you give me directions to the nearest campsite? Can you give me something? The guy who just left walks back up and is like, oh, hey, we are leaving a day early, so our spot's going to be empty if they want to take it. And so the lady's like, all right, fine, you want it? I'm like, fuck yeah, I want it. So we got there at the perfect moment. Like a few minutes before that guy, we would have been screwed. A few minutes after, he would have forgot. He wouldn't have said anything. So we got there right in the perfect time. So they give us our assigned spot. We go to check it out. And fun fact, the biggest problem they have at the Grand Canyon. Again, imagine you're going through this massive forest. It's called Kebab Forest, if I'm not mistaken. I have it up here somewhere because I always kept calling it kebab, just because it's easier to remember. Kebab, I think, at least that's how it's written. Kaibab, whatever. I don't know if you guys care. If you cared, there you go. So we go to our assigned spot, and they warn us, hey, the most dangerous thing here, the thing you have to worry about the most, our biggest problem here, is the ravens, because apparently ravens will just steal all your shit. If you leave your food unattended for a few seconds, they'll just come in and take your food. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll just look out for ravens. And then you see the ravens, and you're like, that's a big ass bird. So I only got video of a couple of them. All right, so I know crows, right? Crows are pretty much everywhere. This is not a fucking crow. This is 3 times the size of a crow, at least in weight. Imagine a chicken-sized crow. That's what a raven is. And I guess I'd never seen a raven firsthand before. And again, it's one of those things where you're like, I know, but I don't know, because I know what a crow is. I know what a raven is. I know the raven is bigger than a crow. But until you see it, you're like, man, that's a really big fucking crow. Again, I'm stupid that way, and so you see them and you're like, oh, that's why that's why they're not scared people. They could fuck you up. If they tried to, they could really fuck you up. Anyway, so we didn't really have any issues with the ravens, but just as we're settling down, I look into the trees, like right next to us, right next to our campsite, and lo and behold is a group of elk just chilling there. They're just chilling there, bedding right next to our campsite. And so I can just show you here like a quick video. So that's like our pit right next to it. Just like 2 or 3 does, I guess. Elks are does, the female elk's a doe, I don't know, whatever. And so obviously I have to get close to them and get a little bit of video. Now, this is a big ass fucking animal. It's an elk, by the way. Imagine it's like a halfway point between a moose and a deer. So it's kind of the size of a horse, and you can tell it could fuck you up. So it's one of those things that approach with caution. Fortunately, the ones at the Grand Canyon, they're really used to humans, and so they as long as you don't really bother them, they won't bother you. They're really, I don't want to say domesticated because that's not the right word, but they're really chill. They let you get closer. And again, these were all does, so I figured, I don't think does will mind that much. If it's a male, maybe he'll get territorial, but I mean, none of these have antlers, so I don't think any of them is a male. And it's at the end of winter, so they should be getting antlers back anytime soon. So I was pumped, man. I was like, holy shit, is this how it is all the time? Just surrounded by elk and giant birds? That's pretty cool. This place is awesome. So, and you can see you're in the middle of a forest. So we set up camp really quickly, and then we're like, all right, well, let's go get some firewood and stuff like that, right? So we go off, we get some firewood. There's a big store right there. We got some ice too. And we get back to camp, and when we get back to camp, lo and behold, more fucking elk. And now we got males, right? We got these big bucks right there. I don't know how old this one is, but it was pretty big. And it's one of those things that you're like, that thing could fuck me up. I want to get close. I want to touch it, but I know I'm not supposed to touch it. But look at it. It's so cool. I want to get a little bit closer. And then just a herd kind of just started walking right past we were, right next to our camp. And then they started running. And then that's when you're like, oh shit. Because there's a lot of people here. Because, people started noticing the herd of elk. And so you don't want to be in... listen, I've seen The Lion King, okay? I don't want to be in front of these things when they decide to stampede. So it was all right, fine. Thankfully, they ran in a different direction. And it was really cool to see. You could see them running. And how... Look, that one just starts going fast out of nowhere. And so it was fun. It was an experience. It's one of those things that you're like, man, I'm so happy that I got to see it. It's something that was special. Chuck Dominguez, thank you for joining me. Elk tastes good. Probably you're not supposed to eat these, but I'm guessing venison is usually pretty good. So then we get to the Grand Canyon, right? So this is something that was actually kind of bothering me, because if you've listened. If you've been paying attention, we've kind of been there for a little bit. We drove in, we found the campsite, we set up camp, we went to the store, we came back to the campsite, and all this time, I had not seen a big ass hole. Like I was told the Grand Canyon was grand. I thought there was like a big fucking hole somewhere, and it's supposed to be massive, and I still haven't fucking seen it. I feel like I'm in the middle of the woods, and every single time I see the Grand Canyon, it looks kind of like deserty. So I don't understand what the fuck's going on, and it was kind of starting to bug me, like to the point where I wanted to ask the employee at the store, like, "Hey, where's your big hole, or where's the hole, or something?" But I didn't want to look like that big of an idiot. So it's one of those things. So it's like, where the fuck is it? It should be visible from anywhere. You don't want to just suddenly take a step and be like, oh shit, there's a big hole. But you figured you see it from a distance. Anyway, turns out it was close by, but just it's very difficult to traverse through the forest apparently. And we learned that the hard way. But anyway, so we finally make it to the big hole, and we start walking around the rim. We start taking pictures, video, all that stuff. And a buddy of mine described this in a way that I really like his description, and I'm gonna steal it. So he said that it's the first landscape ever that has ever taken his breath away. So all right, fair enough. I'm stealing that now. So it took my breath away. The first landscape that's ever taken my breath away. It's massively impressive. Massively, it's bizarre. I mean, I don't even know if I can actually describe the feeling being there. Also, you know, it was kind of windy, so you're like, oh shit. I'm an edge guy. I like going to the edge. That sounded really weird. But it's with all the wind and stuff, you really didn't want to get. Actually, you kind of wanted to go to the edge more because it feels more exciting. Chuck Dominguez, hell yeah, it does. Every deer season I end up going to Wyoming for us hunting. That sounds awesome. Me and my buddy Otto, we're going to go on our first hunting trip in November. So I think it's going to be mule deer, not elk, but we'll see. Anyway, back to this. So like again, I like going up to the edge. It was snowy because again, it's still technically winter. There were pieces of it that had snow, so we were excited to see if we had snow, but we were also terrified that, hey, what if it snows when we're here? And I'm already have this thing, you know, this infection in my throat, and it's not fun. What if our equipment is actually not? Because I bought equipment that's supposed to be for 4 seasons. My tent is supposed to be good for 4 seasons. But what if it's not? What if they, you know, lied to me and shit? So I don't know. But anyway, we're enjoying the scenery. It's a nice scenery. It's very beautiful. It's very impressive. And we start checking out trails like that trail right there that you're seeing. That is called a Bright Angel Trail. So we're planning, all right, we'll just do that tomorrow and go all the way to the edge, right? We didn't know that that's like a 6-hour trail, but whatever. We were, you know, it's our first day. We're excited. We just got out of the car. We've been in the car for hours. Well, 7 hours the day before, 2 hours the next day. And so we're just walking around and we decide, all right, let's just do this. It's about 2-3 o'clock at that point because we walked around for a bit. We were getting hungry. And so we decided, all right, let's get in the car. Let's go all the way to the edge to the K-Bob Point. It's all the way, I think. It's the most eastern point, I think. Or not the most eastern point, but it's within a reasonable range of our campsite. It was the most eastern thing. And so let's just go over there, go to that point, and then go back and eat. And so our plan was basically just go there. It's like a half hour, right? We get to K-Bob Point, and we discovered that there's a trail there. It's K-Bob Trail. And so it's like, well, let's just do it. How bad could it be? And I guess I could show you here in one of the videos. I'm pretty sure that one of the videos you could see it. Is it here? No. Nope, not this one. It might be this one. You could see it right there. It goes through there. All right, in this video, all right. So at the edge of it, you could see it. It goes all the way through this big cliff, right there through that cliff, and then it ends up in this big rock over there. So we didn't know that at that point, and we didn't know how long it was going to be. We just decided, let's just start the trail and see how far we go. So we started going on the trail. We started going down and down and down, and then we reach a point where it looks like, well, apparently if you go all the way, you can go all the way to the Colorado River, which is pretty cool. But we decided, how about if we just stop kind of like right here, like right by this big rock. We'll take some pictures and stuff. It'll be pretty cool. And let me tell you something. It's a lot of fun going. The fun thing about doing trails like this and hiking is that things start to appear that you didn't that they were right there, but you couldn't see them. Like, there's a zigzag path going down. There's rocks. You get to see things a lot closer. You actually get to, touch stuff. It's a lot of fun. But at the same time, it's like, man, this path is way longer than I thought. It looked like it was right there. Turns out it's not right there. It's like, it's right there over there. That's not as close as I thought. Chuck Dominguez. It's fun. Also, it takes a lot of patience. But once you get that meal, it's worth it at the end, and you get to appreciate it because of the work for your earn. You'll have a lot of fun predicting too. I've heard. So that's what we want to try out. It's our first time, both of us, and we want to check out how it goes. Anyway, back to the Grand Canyon here. So again, I took a bunch of pictures, and we ended up making it all the way down to the big rock that I was telling you about. It took us about an hour, maybe an hour and a half to get there. Let's say an hour to get there. Usually the math is an hour down means 2 hours to come back up. Let me tell you something. That was not a fun experience. That was brutally painful. That was excruciatingly painful, and it was cold as fuck. So again, if you paid attention, I have a breathing problem, and at that point, I had a bad sinus infection. So air was like my air ducts were swollen, so breathing was not fun, and the air was fucking cold because again, there was snow, and so it was one of those things that you could barely breathe, and the thing that the air that came in actually burned your lungs. But still, we decided, what, fuck it, we're just gonna do it. We're young, we're strong, we can do it. So again, this actually, I really like this shot. Jumping through rocks and then ending up at, again, this is where we decided we're gonna stop just here. And we're in the middle of a fucking canyon, basically. Not all the way at the bottom, but kind of halfway point in altitude, halfway point deep. And I just, I took a thing all around. You can see all the way back here, that's where the trail starts. So we had to go back for about 2 hours. It was going to probably take us 2 hours to go back uphill the entire fucking way. We hadn't eaten. It's around 4 or 5 p.m. at this point. It's the sun's starting to go down. Or at least it's not as maybe in this video you can see where the sun is. It should be about here. All right, so here you can see the sun. That's the sun. It's gonna go down pretty soon. It's gonna stop hitting us. So we are going uphill, exhausted, without food, cold, in the middle of the night if we don't hurry up. So we kind of panic a little bit, and we decided, let's try to go back as quickly as we can. So that's exactly what we do. And again, we very quickly decided we need a fucking break because it's fucking exhausting. It's very difficult to go uphill and zigzag. It's not fun. As we're going back, all of a sudden, right in the middle of our fucking path, what do we see? A mountain goat. This is right where we have to go. I see a mountain goat in the distance. And I'm like, this is awesome, but also, are those things dangerous? I'm not sure. I know it's a mountain goat. I know it's a wild animal, but it's a goat, right? How badly could a goat fuck you up? A goat could fuck you up pretty bad. And so it's one of those things where hopefully it'll get out of the way. Hopefully it knows humans and it gets out of the way. Fortunately, it did, but we got to see it climb a little bit. We got to see it hang out with other three, caught up with other 2-3 goats in the distance. So it's quite a trip to see goats climb. They're really good climbers. It's really impressive because you're like, man, that thing's gonna die, but it's not. I don't understand how something with hooves could climb like that, but it's actually pretty impressive to see. Anyway, next again, so we managed to make it back. We survived, and so we went directly. We went back to camp, got some food because we were fucking starving, and I mean starving. And from then on, we just hung out at the campsite. Just chill, relax, kind of died a little bit, and got a fire going. We ate some of my special s'mores, which is basically you get a chewy Chips Ahoy cookie, but we found chewy Chips Ahoy cookies with Reese's peanut butter cup pieces in it, which is phenomenal. I highly recommend it. And so instead of using crackers, you use that as the cookie for the s'mores. Highly recommend it. It's extremely delicious. I highly recommend it. Anyway, So we got back to camp. We hung out there basically. Had a very chill time. Next day, but at night we checked the weather. We checked all that stuff, and it turns out it's gonna rain. It's probably gonna rain about 8 a.m. So we start going through our options, because if you guys remember, we only got the campsite for the night. The next day, it's already reserved by somebody else. So the lady there, the ranger, gave us a recommendation. She said, well, you can come here and see if you get one of the first come first serve spots, but we open at 9 a.m. and we have people waiting for about an hour 15 to get one of those spots. So you'd have to get here at 7:45. And I was like, fuck, 7:45 on a Sunday? Damn. And after, doing the most difficult hike of my life, seriously. And so it's night. It's like we're planning on getting up at 7:30 and then going over there and basically sitting next to the ranger station until we get a spot, right? Or they can tell us we got a spot. As we're, winding down, we check the weather. We see that it's going to rain. We see that it's going to snow. So it's supposed to snow at like 8 a.m. or 8 a.m. and then rain after that. So I'm like, do we really want to, take down our camp while it's all wet, spend, an hour and a half sitting in the rain? Or do we want to just, risk it and go somewhere else, go camp at another site or whatever? And so we decided, let's just leave. So tomorrow we'll get up at 7 a.m. We'll pack up our stuff before it rains, before it snows, and we'll leave. And so the very next day at about 6:45, I get woken up by little driblets of rain. Because of fucking course. So it starts raining. It's very light, but at that moment I'm like, fuck. All right. I guess we're going to have to pack up everything wet. And so at that moment, it's like, what, fuck it. We'll just wait for it to settle down. Fortunately, it settled down pretty quickly. And we got out, let's say at 8 a.m., I decided to get out of the tent. And at that point, I'm looking around. I'm seeing all our neighbors are leaving. They're all packing up and they're going. And I checked their posts to see their reservations. And a lot of them had reserved through Sunday into Monday. So I'm like, again, this is Sunday morning. And so I decided, you know what? Let's go and let's pack stuff up just in case. And then let's just try our luck. Let's see if, or let's just tell the ranger, hey, we noticed all these people left. Can you just give us one of their spots? And at that point, it looked like the day was clearing up. As you can tell, this is a picture of Sunday. The sky cleared up a bit. So we're like, I don't think it's going to rain again. I don't think it's going to snow. So fuck it, let's just stay. We go to the ranger. The ranger says, yeah, we got some empty spots for you. Like, perfect. All right, great. We got one more reservation. We go and they tell us, all right, unfortunately, you can't go there until noon. Legally, you can't use the spot until noon. So just, hang out for 2 hours or whatever. I think it's around 10 a.m. So we decided, all right, let's go on a hike. And let's go explore the canyon and stuff, right? And we ended up going to a place called Bright Angel Trailhead. We found it. We parked nearby, and so like, let's just hang out. Let's just do that. We start going downhill. Well, it was a downhill, down cliff. And anyway, it looks pretty cool. Again, it's cold. It's about 11 a.m. or something. We start going downhill, and it's all snowy, right? And so it looks pretty cool. Looks pretty awesome. But as you can tell, the floor is frozen. Like, the ground is frozen, but you can't really tell. We were just walking around having a good time, and all of a sudden, I think I was taking a video, and all of a sudden, I started looking at the sky. I just boop, like I flipped, like my legs just boop, just right in front of me, boom. The next thing I know, I'm just looking up at the sky. I was like, what the fuck happened? If I hadn't been carrying my backpack, I would have probably hit my head on the ground, and I probably would have gotten a concussion or may have died there. Who knows? The point is, dangerous stuff hiking. Yeah, hiking on frozen ground. I guess that would be the easiest way to say it. And so, at that point, I'm like, maybe we should go back, but I just fell here and I'm massively embarrassed, and a lot of people saw me, so I can't quit now. I'll look like a chump, and I can't look like a chump. So we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going down this fucking hill because I just massively embarrassed myself. So we decided to keep going. It's dangerous, but once you know that it's frozen, you can prepare for it, and it's only in the shaded areas. In the areas where there's sunshine, it's fine. Zachary Cruz, thanks for joining me. What is the temperature outside after the rain? Honestly, I don't know. I don't check temperature. I just know it was really fucking cold. So, I mean, I wore a jacket, a beanie, a scarf, and it was still cold. So, I also had thermals on. So, it was really cold. Anyway, so we start going down. We see the squirrel. If you want to see the squirrel, this is a big ass squirrel, by the way. Whatever. I just took video of all the animals that we saw, and we keep going downhill. It's a zigzaggy type of deal. And we reach a point, and I'm like, what's our end game here? Because if you guys can tell, there's a spot right there, and that's the end of the trail. That's like an 8-hour round trip. And so at this point, it's kind of like noon, and we're halfway down, and I still have PTSD from the day before and having to go uphill for 2 hours. And so my body's still feeling it. So I was like, what's our end game here? Because we're not going to go all the way over there. Clearly, it's too far. So maybe we should, start heading back. So we head back, and as we're getting off the canyon, again, it sucked. The way uphill sucked. So it was almost let's say an hour and a half back, again, uphill. So when we get to the top of the hill, it starts, kind of sprinkling, like very lightly. Very, very lightly. Once we get to the car, it starts sprinkling a little bit more. Then it stops. So we managed to get to our camping spot. We set up our campsite, and then we were like, let's just go take a fucking shower because it's super cold and we've just did 2 massive hikes and we're disgusting. So let's just go take a shower. So we took a shower, and by the time we got out, it was snowing, coming down pretty lightly, I'd say, because it wasn't. You can tell it's not really heavy, and sometimes it would rain, sometimes it would snow. But it looked fucking awesome. It was awesome. It's very. I've been around snow, like snowfall, very few times in my life, and so to me, this was very enjoyable. Let's say very few times in my life where I was prepared for it. Because I remember one time we were camping in Santa Veronica, and we did not have the right clothing for it, so we ended up all of us leaving sick basically because we were all riding in our bikes and we got wet and sick, and so it was not fun. But again, right now we were prepared for it, so we just enjoyed the snow. Fortunately, it didn't snow that much, and so I guess to answer your question, Zachary Cruz, it was cold enough to make snow, so below freezing, I guess. Then we had a massive fight with starting up the fire, and it's one of those things where it's so cold where you're a foot away from the fire, and it's still not warming you up, and it was all wet. Well, not the wood. The ground was wet, so it took it a little bit longer for it to let it. But the point is here, we got very lucky in our timing. Like, every single thing that we did, it was perfect timing. Because if the snow would have started to fall if we had decided to go a half an hour more down that hill, that means that we would have been stuck there for about at least another hour and a half. Because again, it's half an hour down, an hour back. So we would have been caught up in the middle of all this snow, and we'd have to climb up more frozen ground, more snow. So we may not have made it, or at least I wouldn't have. So fortunately, everything was okay. LG boy, thanks for joining me. And yes, it was fun. So all good times, all great, all enjoyable. Cannot complain. Awesome times. That was the Grand Canyon. I highly recommend it. Very interesting experience. You have to be ready to walk a lot. And also, you know what? Fun fact. I don't know if I should say this or not. Fuck it. We noticed something pretty interesting. There was a lot, and I mean a lot of lesbian couples over there. It was interesting. It was one of those things. Listen, I live in San Diego. I dated a lesbian once, so I have a few lesbian friends. I saw more lesbian couples in the Grand Canyon than I have going out with that group of friends in Hillcrest, which would be the gay area of San Diego. it was interesting because there wasn't like a gay guy. It was only lesbians. And so obviously I'm gonna ask my friends, like, what is it? Is the Grand Canyon like a romantic thing or something? I don't know, but it's one of those things that you couldn't avoid it because there were so many of them. So many. You basically saw families, straight couples, and lesbians. Nothing else. There was nothing else there. And it was, like, I thought maybe we'd see a few spring breakers, maybe something. No, those were the only things that go to the Grand Canyon. Couples, lesbian couples, straight couples, lesbian couples, or families. That's it. Nothing else. And so I don't know if you guys know, if any of you know why or what's the significance, or if it was a special weekend or if there was an event or something. I don't know. But again, fun fact. So again, if you're a lesbian, apparently that's the spot to go. And you'll have a happy good time. It'll be really romantic. And so again, fun fact. Is it weird? Is it bad? I don't know. I just noticed it. Anyway, so the next day we decided, hey, you know what? Let's on the way back, let's stop by Prescott, Arizona, because it had a spot that looked kind of cool. And Prescott's kind of interesting. I did not know this before yet, but it's basically, it has a whole bunch of giant rocks, and so it looks pretty cool. Again, I showed you the field, so there's really massive fields, all of grass, and then you reach a big rocky area, and then we reached Watson Lake. And Watson Lake is super beautiful. Again, it's just big rocks and a lake. And you can climb up on the rocks. You can ride, there's ducks there. You can just jump on the rocks. You can probably get into the water if we didn't bring a kayak or anything, but you probably could if you wanted to. And so it's super beautiful. The water was just really cold for us to get in. But look, it's really beautiful. And then, a video of me jumping around on rocks. Basically, you get a first person view of how I do what I do. I like showing these videos because when my parents see it, it gives them like tiny heart attacks. Like, why is he jumping around on rocks? Why would he go all the way up there? Why does he do all these things? Why does he stand on the edge of things? Why does Dario have to be that way? And I was like, I don't know. It's how I be. It's who I am. And I don't know. I guess it's extra fun to know that I'm annoying somebody. I don't know. But again, really, really beautiful spot. I recommend it. And Prescott in general, I was impressed with. Honestly, I ended up regretting that we didn't camp there for a night, because the city has a lot of interesting stuff. They have a lot of restaurants. It looked like a happening town. It had a lot of restaurants, a lot of bars, beautiful places to camp. It has like 2-3 lakes. So honestly, it's a place that I'm gonna go check out because it's got potential. Unfortunately, it's really far away. It's like 6 hours, but still, it's got interesting stuff. From there, it was basically just I took a video of this rock because it just looked like a really big rock and I really liked it. Anyway, but that's pretty much it. That was a road trip. The trip to the Grand Canyon. Had some fun. Got to see a bunch of animals, which is always cool. And overall awesome experience. Like, I understand why people go on these road trips with their families and have camp out and have these all adventures and stuff. It's pretty cool. Honestly, it's one of those things that you're like, that I highly recommend that you see with your own eyes at least once. You won't regret it. Again, it's exhausting if doing all the things that we did. But if you just want to go there, chill out, hang out around the rim, have some s'mores in your campground and all that stuff, it's a good time. Now, my kid brother said that he doesn't picture me camping because camping involves a lot of nothing to do. We had a lot of stuff to do. Like, I took a bunch of board games and we never even opened them. Like, I took my Switch and never even opened it because we were like idiots doing 3-hour hikes. But it was fun. So this is a place where there's a lot to do. There's a lot to see. You're right there in the middle of nature, enjoying it. So again, could not recommend it more. The drive sucks. It's 8 hours. It's exhausting. But if you switch between two people, you should be fine. You should be fine. Brad Baldor. Hello, Dario. Hi, Brad Baldor. Thank you for joining me. Brad Baldor, are you my nephew, Bradley? I don't know. I guess you could say that you are, but how do I really know? Anyway, that's it for today. Like, you guys can probably hear it. My throat is not doing well. It's but I wanted to share the story. I wanted to share the adventure. It was a good time. Really good time. Highly recommend it. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Super Dario World on YouTube and on Twitch streaming. I'm not sure when I'm going to be streaming next. Ricardo Garcia, great pictures, worth the drive. Saludos. Yes, definitely worth the drive. Definitely worth the experience. I don't regret a single minute of it. We got really lucky on our timing for everything. I wouldn't do it again in the immediate future or in winter because, again, it was really cold. But maybe in summer it would be cool. Well, maybe next year in the summer would be a lot better because, again, 8-hour drive. Not fun. If you want to send me something privately, you can always do that on Instagram at Super Dario World and at DarioSTW. I load like stories from my trips and everything up there. If you want to see more pictures and stuff, you can do that again on my personal Instagram at DarioSTW. As always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.